So the Avengers. When it came out, it was basically one of the biggest movies of all time. No other studio tried to do something like this. No other studio tried to make this big universe with all these interconnected universe movies before. Yes, you had movies like Star Wars, but they were kind of like a linear story. But you had all these different movies with all these characters coming together in one big movie versus one big bad. The Avengers kind of feels dated if you watch it compared to Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, but still a fine and respectable movie. Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame are basically very similar to the first Avengers. It's basically all of our favorite heroes being forced to team up against a bigger bad because the bigger bad wants to basically end the world because, yeah, that's basically the part of the first. And really, the first Avengers, Thanos was really pulling the strings in that movie. But then we have the middle child of the Avengers movies, Avengers Age of Ultron. Why isn't this movie as revered as the other Avengers? Why isn't Age of Ultron as beloved as the first Avengers movie? So the first Avengers movie is still loved by people. It is not as rated as highly as Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, obviously, but still considered a good movie. It is still considered by the Marvel fanbase a good movie. But why did Age of Ultron not work as well as the first Avengers? All of the scores, if we compare this to first Avengers, is a wild contrast. IMDb score is much higher, Rotten Tomato score is much higher, and Metacritic score for the Avengers, the first one, not the game, is much higher. Yeah, not the actual Metascore, but the user score is. So what's the deal with Age of Ultron? Why is it not as ranked as the other Avengers movies? Well, this movie kind of had mixed reactions. So the Marvel movies, yeah, Black Panther Wakanda Forever 7.2, Thor and Thunder 6.3 as well. Yeah, I don't update my IMDb scores, so you're gonna see my IMDb scores. A totals of 6.3. So the newer Marvel movies are not as good, as look at Doctor Strange. You have She-Hulk, Black Panther, but Black Panther had a very similar score to Age of Ultron. Black Panther was not a very good movie. If we compare it to the Marvel movies, it was kind of like a small movie, basically. It wasn't really the big Marvel movie that we got, like with the Avengers, of course, or Civil War. Civil War actually worked more better as an Avengers movie than Age of Ultron did. Okay, Team Iron Man versus Team Captain America. That movie worked better as, of course, a Avengers movie than Age of Ultron, which is pretty hilarious. So Age of Ultron goes to the sequel. Bigger is better, but not better. Or the sequel syndrome. This is a syndrome that goes around in many famous movies. Jaws 1-2. Jurassic Park 1-2. Home Alone 1-2. Matrix 1-2. Okay? All of these movies, and you can even say the third sequel course, which is like another thing that exists, like Terminator 2-3, obviously, and Jaws 2-3. Now it's massive drop in quality now. Okay? But typically, not even movies can survive the sequels. Okay? Sometimes sequels are not as reviewed or revered as best as the first movie. Of course, you have those rare examples of sequels that are way better than the first movie. But Avengers Age of Ultron as a movie didn't look as good as the Avengers. Many people thought it was more boring. Many people thought the story wasn't as good. Despite introducing major characters like Scarlet Witch, Quicksilver who died, obviously, and Vision who died in Infinity War, well, these are all major characters to the future Avengers movies. These as well. But you look at rankings for Marvel movies, if you see rankings for best Marvel movies, it is usually ranked lower than most of the other Marvel movies. These. Look at this one. Time Out for Marvel movies ranked from best to worst. And you have Iron Man 2, Incredible Hulk and Turtles, Ant-Man and the Wasp, 4, Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, Captain Marvel. A lot of the newer Marvel movies are much lower, but then you have Age of Ultron, be the lowest rated, even be lower rated than Ant-Man. Even Thor of Thunder is considered better on this ranking than Age of Ultron. And basically, there's a different mid-season feel to this. If I get Josh Whedon feel back and forth and everything, but the Marvel fans of Infinity War reviewers got short shots. And for the time, Age of Ultron was actually a decent movie. But once we saw Infinity War and Endgame as well, we have, of course, the best MCU movies. Age of Ultron, of course, is not going to be now. Okay? Every list has Avengers Age of Ultron near the bottom of the list. It is a movie that is often ranked worst. Okay, it was what we were seeing to initially right, but then someone beat it both back as well. Blah, 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 blah. But again, this movie is a movie that is aged poorly compared to the other Marvel movies. And now let's imagine the newer Marvel movies like Thor of Thunder, Black Widow, and Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, Shang-Chi, and all these newer movies. I think the only modern Marvel movies can really age well is Spider-Man No Way Home. Okay, stuff like the Eternals has already aged poorly, and that came out a year ago. Okay? And then we have the best Marvel Cinematic Universe movies. You have the Avengers, you have Avengers Infinity War, you have Civil War, Avengers Endgame, Thor Ragnarok, Spider-Man Homecoming, Black Panther, Doctor Strange, Ant-Man, Age of Ultron is at 15. Okay? Basically, this is Avengers Age of Ultron is always ranked lower than all the other Avengers movies. And most of the bad reviews basically say the same thing. The action's pretty good, obviously, because it's an Avengers movie, but the plot just doesn't hold up. Ultron is not really that good of a villain. He's just basically Jarvis becoming evil. And then they had to make a new version of Ultron, which wasn't evil, which was Vision. And then they had to all stop Ultron's plans. And then the movies afterwards, which works way better than Age of Ultron, like Civil War, basically are supposed to be is the consequences of that movie. And the movie that's supposed to be the consequences of Age of Ultron is ranked way higher than Age of Ultron. Civil War. Okay? Civil War is often ranked higher than Age of Ultron. And I think that should be something that we should be talking about as well. Civil War worked better than Age of Ultron. Okay? It worked as a mini Avengers movie, but worked much more better as a movie featuring all the major Avengers than, of course, the first Captain America. No, first than Age of Ultron. Giving us Ant-Man, giving us Spider-Man, giving us Black Panther, 3 characters that would serve major roles in future movies, especially Spider-Man. Man, the fact that, despite Age of Ultron introducing a couple new characters, they weren't as important as Black Panther or Spider-Man, obviously, as well. And of course, Ant-Man getting a 3rd movie this year, in a month even. So this movie was successful. It will be remembered because it's a part of the MCU. Unlike a movie like Booksmart or a movie like Ringo Ninjago movie. But Age of Ultron kind of failed in a way because it didn't live up to the other 3 Avengers movies. And with 2 more Avengers movies coming in the future, I wonder how much more poorly will Age of Ultron hold up. 2, being always ranked as one of the worst MCU movies ever made. Or one of the lower ones, at least. Goodbye.